Hey everyone, welcome to our first ever live podcast. We're also streaming on Instagram Live. I would say combined with the four of us, we do know our BBL, we do know our BBL super coach. We do know most of what we need to know for predicted teams. We know very little about how to stream on YouTube and Instagram. So bear with us. It is all working though. We are all here. You guys would have met Sushane before. Sushane and I are going to go back and forth. We've got a 5-minute timer for every team. He's feeling a little bit crook today, so he might not have as much energy as usual. But to make up for it, we've got Rushil and Pulkit. Say hi, guys.
Hey
Hi,
everyone.
Yeah,
I'm
I told
Pulkit.
thousands of people watching, so they've all gotten haircuts and done their beards and stuff. All that ready for the big day. Anyways, it is just over 24 hours till the first game of the Big Bash. Of course, if you just Google Wiki Linktree, you find our podcasts, our predicted teams, our articles, absolutely everything you need for the BBL, whether you're playing Super Coach, whether you're playing Draft Stars or you're punting, whatever you're doing, all our free resources, including our data tools, are all there on the Wiki Linktree. The structure for this pod, it's going to be just less than an hour, this live stream. We're going to spend 5 minutes on all 8 teams and just go through the teams, the players, their roles, who's injured, who's in the country, etc., etc. So whatever you're doing, you'll have all the information you need within the next sort of 40 minutes from that. And then we're going to spend 10 minutes at the very end where Sushane and I will probably shoot the shit a little bit in terms of what the hell's going on with all things Super Coach. Obviously, tomorrow's the big day. So we'll do a bit of a team reveal, or if we get enough comments, we'll answer some of your questions around what's going on with the Big Bash. So first things first, I'm going to go off the spreadsheet that you guys have put together for us, guys, and I'm going to go with the Brisbane Heat. We chose the Brisbane Heat because they've got 3 games if you're playing Super Coach in the first round. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yep, cool. I don't know if you can on the the YouTube stream, but we'll talk through it. So I'll use my voice to Shane, and I will read through the Brisbane Heat team. And Rochelle, you can start the 5-minute timer now. Cut us off at 5 minutes, and we'll move on to the Scorchers.
Yeah.
Cool.
Start.
Awesome. So Brisbane Heat predicted for the first game, we've got Khawaja, Josh Brown opening the batting. We've got Munro, Marnus Labuschagne, and Billings in the middle order. Bryant and Paul Walter, the overseas player. And then we've got the 4 bowlers, Bartlett, Spencer Johnson, Kuhneman and Shropshire, the spinners. That's the 11 that we've got. We've got McSweeney, Nisa, Pearson, and Renshaw out for the PM's 11 game, and a few other players that'll sort of come in and out as the season goes on. So Shane, any early thoughts on this team and sort of explanation for people who aren't as obsessed with all things BBL as we have been over the last few days?
Sure. So, sorry if I sound a little bit under the weather because I am. Well, we've got like we're going to find out about the Heat's squad for tomorrow's game, the Big Bash opener, pretty soon, and we'll find out how right or wrong our predicted teams are. Just keep an eye out for Spencer Johnson and Michael Nisa, who've both been sort of dealing with injuries. That squad is going to confirm whether we see them, or whether we have a chance of seeing them on the park or not. It's a big boost to have those 2 test guys, Khawaja and Labuschagne, I think, available even for the opening game, just from like a Brisbane Heat season point of view. Munro's there for all 3 games of round 1 though, and of course he's available for the Brisbane Heat from the beginning. I'm very keen to watch him against the Sydney Thunder in the Heat's 3rd game at Manak Oval. He does pretty well against them. Generally, he's done well at that ground, and Thunder not looking so good when it comes to getting an 11 on the park.
Yep. Sorry, Shane. One thing I said we'd do, and we probably don't have time to, but I'm going to shoot through. I promised a comment about each player, so let's shoot through and try our best. So, Khawaja and Labuschagne, they're obviously going to be playing for the Aussie Test team. They're only playing 1 game, so if you're playing Super Coach, massive risk to pick these guys when they're playing 3 games that round, and these guys are only going to play 1 before they shoot off for the test. Josh Brown, if he does get that spot in the first game, he'll hold on to it because they'll have McSweeney, Pearson, or Renshaw, etc. moving back. He should hold on to that spot. Munro and Billings, I believe, are here for all of the Big Bash or most of the Big Bash. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, most of the Big Bash.
Most of the Big Bash might be jetting off for another tournament towards the end. Maxi Bryant is going to be lucky to hold on to that spot if he does. He did have a really good trial. I think one of you guys mentioned that he got an 80 or a century in one of the games recently, so he's in decent form. Paul Walter is a left arm quick that is a power hitter at number 7. He's an overseas player that should be there for the rest of the comp. Bartlett, Johnson, whoever gets chosen as the fast bowlers for the Brisbane Heat, just be wary that Nisa is to come back in. There's probably going to be some rotation there. And I think Rashil, the 5 minutes are up, yeah?
No, 2 minutes are still left.
Oh,
Go on.
wow. Okay, awesome. So so Kuhneman interruption the spinners. I think Sushane's done quite a bit of analysis saying for fantasy purposes, Kuhneman's probably a better pick. But either way, if Nisa does come back into that team, they've got a lot of batting and all-rounders. And if neither of their spinners really impress, one of them might find themselves out of a role. The guys that we've got in yellow, so we'll screenshot this out so everyone can see our predicted teams that I'm talking through at the moment. McSweeney, Nisa, Pearson, and Renshaw, they're out at the PM's 11 game, which I think started yesterday, or did it start today?
Started today.
Started today,
Yeah.
sure.
Today,
So
I think.
I assume it's a 4-day game. So whoever's playing that game, they'll be out. So Nisa's not playing that game actually. So there's a small chance he might play the first Heat game, but McSweeney, Pearson, Renshaw, they're definitely out for the next 4 days and almost definitely will miss the first 2 Heat games. Well, they will, sorry, because I think both the Heat games are sort of within that time frame. There's a bunch of other guys in the squad that I won't talk through too much, but we've got Will Prestwidge, Will Demuth, Wood, Jack Wood, Charlie Wakim, Lachlan Horn, and Hugo Burden. I don't know too much about those guys, but so Shane, any last comments about the 11 that will be playing early on?
I could see if Nisa does play, I could see sort of Xavier Bartlett dropping out, which would, given Paul Walter has bowled at the death for Essex in this year's blast, that could leave the Heat with 3 solid death bowling options, 2 of them left armers. Spencer Johnson, Paul Walter, Michael Neser. It's going to be, I think, really, really interesting because the Heat bowling attack has seen a lot of churn since last season. So let's see if very, very interesting to see how they actually use their several bowling options. Maybe we'll see Labuschagne get a few overs as well.
Yep, he should do something in
Yeah.
the one that he's got in the big bash before he
Time's
goes.
up, guys. Time's up.
Awesome. Okay, no worries. Rushil and Pulkit, if we run out of things to say for the next team, I'll get you guys to put in your insights. Who's done research on the Scorchers out of you two?
Rushil.
That was a trick question. You guys.
I actually have an interesting question regarding the Heat.
Cool.
Who do you think will captain the Heat? Because like Pearson would be out for the next game, and Khawaja would be there for the Pakistan tests.
Maybe Billings? What do you guys reckon?
Billings or Munro, I think.
One of the overseas guys? Sushane's
Yeah.
coughing. I don't know what the coffee indicates, but there's a nah. Maybe one of the internationals. Khawaja used to captain them from memory. Sushane, any thoughts?
Yeah, Khwaja, I think Khwaja is the club captain. I'm just sort of looking at that right now, and Khwaja is the club captain. He will probably will captain them in that first game. So yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, then the second game will be a little bit interesting then, because Pearson and stuff won't be back. But anyways, we'll find out. We'll see. We'll see how we go. But yeah. Let's move on to the Scorchers. So Rushil, start the timer. 5 minutes.
Yeah,
So
done.
the quick intro. So Shane, come in with well, you can start us off on the notes on all the players and stuff. So very quickly, the team that we're looking at here got Eskenazi and Whiteman opening the batting in our predicted team. Hardy, Josh Inglis, Laurie Evans, and Ashton Turner, arguably the best middle order in the whole competition. Cooper Connolly, who got the job done in the BBL final for them, the rookie at number 7, who I think he bowls some left arm orthos, or he bowls a bit of spin as well. And Jai Richardson, Andrew Ty, Jason Berendorf, and Matt Kelly, we've got as the 4 quicks in that team. Just looking at that, I remember I checked yesterday, they're the shortest in the betting odds for the BBL, and no wonder. Like, that is an absolutely incredible team. Any quick notes for Shane?
Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about the 2 overseas guys in there, Stephen Eskenazi and Laurie Evans. Evans is he's being reintroduced to the Scorchers team. He didn't play last season, I think. So these 2 are English imports, and well, they actually have jobs to do at the top and in the middle. I think that because Scorchers won last season and Evans didn't. And Evans wasn't involved, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how Evans's reintroduction changes up that middle order. We saw Inglis at 4, Turner at 5, Hardy at 3. I wonder if you remember throughout at some point last season, Hardy got that expansion of his role where he moved up to number 3. So I'm very, very keen to see how Laurie Evans changes the balance of things. Apart from that, Sam Whiteman and Nick Hobson probably competing for one opening spot. Eskenazi got, I think, a couple of 50s last season, so he's pretty much set there. Man, that bowling attack looks really, really good. Jai Richardson, Andrew Ty, Jason Behrendorff, if they're all fit. I think Matthew Kelly's also been battling some injury. But as you notice, they might have trouble getting a spinner on the park. It might only be Cooper Connolly.
Well,
I think Ashton Agar's on his way back from an
I was
injury.
just
Yeah.
about to make a comment on that. Sorry, Rushil and Pulkit, which one of you guys researched the scorches? Rushil?
I
Pulkit.
did.
All right. Well, whichever one it was, what's the latest you've heard on Ashton Agar?
What's the actually, like, he's still, like, he was injured a few days back.
Calling bullshit. Is that the latest that you've heard?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm pretty sure I read yesterday that he bowled 4 overs in a trial match or something. So
Yes,
I
he did.
think it was a practice game, something like that.
He's still bold. So I think there was a little bit of chat around if Cooper Connolly is going to get that role of batting at number 7 and Agar not in the team, it makes him a potential really good cheapy option for BBL Supercoach. Whereas if he if Agar's in the team, then Cooper Connolly probably doesn't even get a game. So Pulkit or Rushil, one of you, can you quickly look that up just to see what exactly was the update on Ashton Agar? I don't know if it was a trial match, an internal trial, if it was a net session in his backyard, but either way, if you could look that up. Just a quick note on the extended squad. Zach Crawley is still yet to come into that team. Lance Morris could play sort of half a BBL season, potentially in and out of the test squad. And then potentially Mitch Marsh to come back in as well, which if it wasn't OP already, like, and obviously Agar, one of the, well, like a really good left arm orthodox bowler, can hit late and a pretty good fielder as well. So that team, when I look at it now, is clearly the best team. When I look at sort of all 8 squads, or at least from my point of view. So Shane, any sort of final thoughts on the players?
Last thing about sort of Ashton Agar / Cooper Connolly. I could see, I mean, at the moment, you could see Ashton Agar coming into the team exactly where Cooper Connolly is right now, at that number 7 spot. That's kind of like his thing in T20 cricket. But I wonder if Cooper Connolly might be trusted to open the batting. That could be really, really exciting to watch. I heard some talk around Honeyball and a couple of other places, I think, have mentioned the possibility of Cooper Connolly opening alongside somebody, might be Eskenazi, but you could possibly see Connolly and Agar in the same team if Agar's fit. I don't think it's one or the other. It could be both.
Agar did.
Go on, Pulkit.
Agar did actually bowl 4 overs, but in the same game, Cooper Connolly got 95 of 54. So I think they might have a decision to make.
This is something
And
all
in the same game, Matthew Kelly also bowled 4 overs, so he's
he also
almost fit as well.
Sure. Okay. Well, I think all experienced fantasy players would know from NRL or AFL preseason. In the preseason, they give everyone an opportunity. From our point of view, the main thing I care about is health. Like, are these guys healthy enough to play a game and bowl some overs? If that's a yes, then awesome. Then let's just wait and watch to see what the Scorchers do with their team. But it sounds like if their squad members are that good, it's scary for some of the other Big Bash teams. Michelle, are 5 minutes? Have some time.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, all right, cool, awesome. Well, let's move on to the Sixers. Traditionally, one of the top 2 teams in the Big Bash. Rashil, you can start the timer again. Same thing. I'll read out our predicted 11, and then Sushane can hit us up with a couple of his thoughts around some of the team members. So you got Steve Smith in just for that first game again with Philippi opening the batting. We've got Dan Hughes at number 3. Could be interchangeable with Curtis Patterson. We'll have to see how that one goes. Middle order of Enriquez, Silk, and Jack Edwards, who we've got at number 6 at the moment. And then we've got Curran and Kerr at 7 and 8. Joel Davies as the spinner. I've got to say, best arm in the BBL. I've seen his arm live. Absolutely incredible throwing arm. And Sean Abbott and Ben Dorcius. I got to say, if Abbott's batting at 10, that is a stacked batting lineup. So Shane, any thoughts?
Just to say about just one thing about the stacked batting lineup, maybe they'll think, hey, that's too much batting. We could bring in a specialist bowler. I could see a place for Jackson Bird in that team. And one of their first 2 games, I think it's the first game's against the Renegades, and I saw this while doing some research for the article. But Jackson Bird has a fantastic record against Nick Maddinson. I don't know if you know this, but I think Maddinson averages 1.5 against him in the last 3 seasons. And no, I didn't miss a decimal place. It is 1.5. So there is possibly room to include Jackson Bird there. Smith, as you mentioned, is only going to play the first game, so we're going to see change in this team very, very quickly. Quick shout out to James Vince, by the way. I don't know if you guys know this, but I like, maybe if you've not followed T20 cricket in other parts of the world, and to be frank, most of us haven't. But he has, without exaggeration, he is like the form T20 player in the world right now. He has, since the 2022 Pakistan Super League, he's been top scorer in the Blast 2 seasons running. He's I think won one of those seasons from memory. He was top scorer in the ILT20 at the start of this year, obviously last season. And he was doing pretty well in the Big Bash at the time that he left last season. I think he had 263 runs in 8 or 9 innings, something like that. But he's been doing really, really well in T20 cricket for almost 2 years now. I think he potentially might be involved for that first game against the Renegades on Friday. So that's a few days from now, depending on how the Abu Dhabi T10 sort of thing shakes out. We'll only find that out closer to the squad being named. So very, very keen to watch out for how James Vince goes this season.
The season before last, when the Sixers won it from memory, he scored a pretty big score in, I think, both their finals from memory or whatever. Like, he was incredible towards the end of the season, and they either played in the final or they won the final. I don't remember exactly how that panned out, but yeah, Vince has been good for the Sixers for a while. In terms of other notes and things to look out for, Jack Edwards, he's been around Aussie cricket for a few years now. I think for about 4 or 5 seasons around the Big Bash. But he was always that guy that kind of like didn't get much of a go, looked great in lower grades, and then couldn't cut it in the Big Bash. But he's been in really good form in domestic cricket. And if he does get that number 6 gig, and he's been bowling pretty well as well. So looking at that Sixers team, if it plays out the way that we've got it down, which is Edwards, Curran, Kerr, Davies, Abbott, and Dorcius, because Steve O'Keefe is injured at the moment, as he usually tends to be early in the season. I think there's 6 or 7 bowling options there. So I wouldn't be banking on 3 overs or more for Jack Edwards specifically, but just an interesting one to look out for because he's pretty cheap in BBL Supercoach. Rushil and Pulkit, which one of you did the Sixers? Any notes on the Sixers?
Pulkit did, but I have 2 updates to give. Hayden Kerr is unavailable for the first match as per Honeyball, and Sean Abbott is also has a niggle, so he's doubtful for the first game.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's I think Sushane's saying that more from a Supercoach point of view. I'm thinking
Supercoach point of view, yeah.
From the punting point of view, there's a real opportunity. I don't know when the Sixers are playing or who they're playing against, but just generally
They're playing the Renegades on Friday.
Okay, sweet. So second game of the tournament, right? So, and there's a real opportunity. Sixers are traditionally one of the best teams. You can obviously they've got Steve Smith, but aside from that, it's just a bunch of guys that I'm not a huge fan of, like Hughes, Enriquez, like Jack Edwards in there in the batting. I think there's a potential for a Renegades or have a fresh squad to upset them. So I think if Sydney Sixers are strong favorites in punting markets, there's an opportunity to look at the Renegades as a bit of a value play if you've got a bit of faith in them to show up in the first game. Rushil, are we almost done with the 5 minutes or do we have a...
Yep, just 10 seconds left.
Sure. All right. Sixers suck. All right, there we go. Let's move on. No, just kidding. Sweet. Well, to the other Sydney team, the Thunder. What can I say about the Thunder? I'll list out their team, and Sushane, you can obviously hit us up with any info that you've got. So you've got Jilks and Bancroft opening the batting. Jason Sanger, I think he played part of last season, but it's nice to see him back, potentially captaining the team. Nikitaras at 4, we've got at the moment. Alex Ross and Sams in the middle order at 5 and 6. Chris Green at 7. Sorry, Chris Green's the captain, isn't he? What am I saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure. And then McAndrew, Tanvir Sanger, Gurinder Sandhu, and Liam Hatcher as the bowler. Was Liam Hatcher the guy that was bowling quite quick, the redhead?
Yeah, I think so.
Redhead the bowler.
I think that's the right guy.
I remember thinking, this guy's crap. And then he was bowling real heat last year. I was like, oh.
Yeah, he's the one who was playing for the Stars last season, I think.
Yes. He was pretty impressive. Anyways, that's the 11.
He's doubtful for the first game too, Liam Hatcher.
Fiery redheads, always letting us down. All right. Well, those are the 11 that we've got. We've got David Warner, who's obviously part of the Thunder. I think he might be playing after all the tests are done, potentially.
Yep.
So you might get a couple of games towards the end of the Big Bash. Alex Hales, what's the go with Hales? Do we know when is he coming from the T10 or?
He will after the T10 ends, after his team's reign ends on there.
And he doesn't play for England anymore, does he? Hales, he retired, right?
No, I think he's retired. Yeah.
Sweet. So I think Hales might miss the first 1 or 2 games, but then he should be here for all of the Big Bash, unless he's leaving for another like a tournament at the end. But the Thunder should have Hales for most of the Big Bash, which is what I'm trying to get at. Ollie Davies has that finger injury. I just read a quote, I think earlier today, about him. Rushila Pulkit, any news on Ollie Davies? Latest updates?
Nothing as such, but he's just doubtful for the first game. But they have their first game almost a week from now, so maybe he can recover
really?
until.
Ah, okay, nice.
Thunder have their first game on 12th December.
Sure.
Maybe he'll be back till then as well.
I think the quote that I read was just basically that he's like trying to make it back, but I think he's got like a hairline fracture, so I don't know how that's going to work. But it makes a big difference because nothing wrong with Nikitaris. I think he's only played a couple of Big Bash games, but yeah, Ollie Davies showed some promise with the bat last year, and he's shown some promise. I think he's got a couple of good scores this domestic season as well. I remember his name popping up a little bit, so that would make a pretty big difference. If we got our highlighting wrong, or are there actually no internationals for the Thunder? I think there's legit no. Oh well, actually, Alex Hales, but he's not.
Alex Hales and
So
Zaman Khan.
Yeah.
So
Shane, can you tell us
the
a little bit
T10
about-
runs until the 9th of the, I think the T10 runs until the 9th of December. So, well, I think as Rushil just said, it's 4 days from then until the Thunder's first game, or yeah, 4 days from then until the Thunder's first game. So we could see anybody involved there make it back in time.
Nice. Okay.
Alex Hales.
So, yeah. Do we know anything about Zaman Khan? Did I hear on a podcast that he bowls like Malinga? Am I getting my names right? or no?
Yeah, I think he's got the slingy action. I saw him in the PSL at the start of this year.
Is he right or
Um,
left-handed?
He's
Right
right,
arm.
right arm, right
Ah,
arm.
so he's like a Pakistani Malinga action clone.
Yes, he played
Pretty
in the
much,
Blast
yeah.
as well earlier this year.
Damn. All right. Cool. Any notes on the Thunder, Sushane?
I can see Green and Sangha both in that. It looks like a very interesting bowling attack. There's Chris Green and Tanvi Sangha. There's a finger spinner and a leggy. There's Hatcher who bowls quick. There's Sandhu and McAndrew. That looks like an interesting bowling attack. Is Sam's fit? Do we know?
Yeah, he was bowling in
he
the
a bit of an
T10. I
injury
saw
doubt?
him on TV like a day or two ago.
Oh, that's nice. I'm very keen to watch out, like look out for Daniel Sams, not just from a fantasy point of view, but generally as well, because if you remember season before last in the BBL, he had a fantastic year with the bat. Last season he had a really poor year with the bat. Hopefully things sort of even out a little bit now. And I think, and this is going into Supercoach and fantasy more generally, but I think he's 162K. He's generally a popular choice for Thunder doubles whenever those come up. I think the first of those is in round 4 this year. And maybe like you'll get a look at him and his batting in the first 3 games. Maybe if his batting
Sorry,
stabilized
guys.
a bit.
5 minutes up.
Time.
That's pretty much all I wanted to say. Maybe if his batting stabilized a bit, he could be a good pick for that first double.
Sure. And I'll go I guess a different way of thinking from a punting point of view. Very quickly, there's something called player performance markets where they have like a simplistic view of fantasy sports, but you can punt on it in Australia. I think Daniel Sams, a few of these guys actually, the Thunder and the Sixers, you can see that they've clearly got 6 bowling options. So if you are finding player performance markets for guys who, like Sams is perfect. If he's not bowling 4 overs and he's potentially batting at 6, that's a real opportunity to get on unders, thinking his role might not be the same as it was in previous years with McAndrew and Hatcher there. But anyways, there'll be a lot more chatter about that as we go on. Let me just move this across. All right, sweet. Next up, we've got the Melbourne Renegades. I'll list out the team. So we've got Joe Clark. Unfortunately, Quinton de Kock, who we were really excited to watch, is going to miss the first couple of games. So we've got Joe Clark and potentially Fraser McGurk opening batting. Maddinson, Finch, Mackenzie Harvey, and John O'Wells in the middle order. Will Sutherland at number 7 in that all-rounder spot. Tom Rogers, Adam Zampa, Kane Richardson, and Mujib ur Rahman as the 4 bowlers in the side. So Shane, any quick notes on these guys?
I think the only notes to sound are, well, that batting lineup might change quite a bit. We talked in our in-person pod a couple of days ago how we don't know where Sean Marsh is. He might still be in Bali, and might still be in Bali and on the beers. But I think there's potential for that top order to change a bit. We talked a little bit about how Sean Marsh, if he plays, he'll probably open or bat in the top 3 worst case. Fraser McGurk is the one who might likely lose a spot in that case. Maddinson, it's great to see him back. He's coming off a pretty bad injury. He's batting, he's captain, he's going to bowl a bit possibly. Very, very keen to see how he goes this season. Aaron Finch, commentator, called Australia's World Cup win back in the middle order batting for the Renegades. Master at protecting his wicket, as I know from Supercoach last season. So he rode out the early storm and made a few 50s last season. Last season was also a big one for Will Sutherland, I think. It was kind of like this breakout year where he impressed with the bat, got a few wickets. He's probably going to take up that number 7 spot quite nicely. Very, very keen to see Adam Zampa back in action after coming off a World Cup win in which he was very, very important. Just watch out for that Sixers game on Friday at GMHBA Stadium. The Renegades have a lot of spin options, I think, available to them. And I sort of looked up the numbers on this a little bit. That's a ground where spin bowling has tended to do well, both in terms of keeping the runs down and taking wickets. Maybe we could see them spin choke Scorchers in the same way that Chennai have done in the IPL so many times in the past, especially when you consider that Scorchers might not have like a frontline spinner to throw at them.
Yeah. Just quickly, the ground that you mentioned, is that what used to be Docklands, Marvel Stadium? All the names.
No, we've been through this. No, we've been through this before as well. Docklands is a different ground. That's Marvel Stadium, and that's GMHBA Stadium is in Geelong. Both are AFL grounds, but
Right.
they're different grounds.
I think this is the same ground where Namibia beat Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka were ruled out of the 21
Yes.
World Cup as well. 22 World Cup, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. That is in Geelong because they played some preliminary. So that first stage of the World Cup, where a lot of the like the preliminary round of the World Cup, where you had your Namibia and your PNG and your Sri Lanka and so on. Geelong was one of the grounds where they played. Yep.
Yeah, well, if we've got any rugby league fans, we were just saying that PNG obviously played in the Rugby League World Cup, but they're also in the they were and they are in the next T20 World Cup, which is ridiculously impressive for such a small company, for such a small country.
Wow. Okay.
All right, cool. Let's very quickly. So Pulkit, well, which one of you two researched the Renegades?
I did.
All right, cool. Can you hit us up with any trial form or any last minute news on the Renegades?
I am backing the Renegades to win this year's BBL.
Ooh, the calls.
I think the experience would work out for them in pressure situations. They have a perfect combination of youngsters and experience, and they have a couple of World Cup winners in there as well. Kane Richardson is the perfect death bowler, and to mix it up with Adam Zampa and Mujib would be a great bowling combination.
The Cock should play like roughly half the BBL. He's missing the
Yes, I guess. He's out for the ILT20 if I'm not wrong. But
Isn't he playing the SA20 in January?
SA20.
Because he played for Durban Super Giants, yeah.
Yep.
Something. He's not playing all of the BBL, we know, but he is playing a good chunk of it.
Half of it, I think that's fine. Is Mujib going to be there for all of it or most of it?
Mujib has signed for the ILT20, so he'll also head off somewhat in January.
Okay, cool.
Can you hey tell me, Rochelle, did you find out anything about Siddle? I know he's sort of winding down his career and he might be rotated as a fast bowler. Very, very keen. Like I'm keen to get on him in Supercoach if he's going to play. If he's going to have a good role, he's only 75k, but I want to know he's bowling first.
Pulkit's researching it. Pulkit's on it at the moment. Pulkit, Peter Siddle, hit us up. I was gonna say that I think they've got to like not play Siddle, Finch, and Sean Marsh at the same time. I think that might be a chaos, like a horrible.
This is the experience I'm talking about. Time's up, guys.
Yeah, well, sorry, I'm just looking at our Instagram live. I have no idea what I'm doing. All I've done is kept it on and just on me in quality that's too good for my face. But we've had Vishal _1350 ask us, can you tell me please what strategy you use for betting in this BBL? That is exactly why we're here. So Vishal can win the big bucks. But no. Rushil, how much time do we have left for the games?
Done. We are done.
All right, Pulkit, you got our Sean Marsh news or our Peter Siddle news? Sorry.
Nope, nothing recently on him.
There's 10,000 people waiting for your answer. What are you doing? No, all good. Let us know if you find out anything about him or Sean Marsh even, because all I've seen about Sean Marsh is the video of him celebrating his Mitch Marsh sent you in the Ashes. I've seen zero since then. All right, so we've got the other Melbourne team. We've got the Melbourne Stars. Rochelle, start the counter, please. We've got Harper and Rogers. They've been confirmed that they're going to be opening the batting. I saw a quote on Honeyball, Pulkit or Rochelle. You guys want to fill me in? Have you seen any news on where Stoinis and Maxwell are going to bat?
Honeyball confirmed the batting position, but it was a paid article, so I couldn't go through it.
Oh, damn it. I'm pretty sure it was Stoinis at 3 and Maxwell at 4, but we can double check that. We'll have a chat with Ben if he gives us access to one article for free. And let's whatever. But anyways, I think it's Harper, Sam Harper, Tom Rogers opening batting. I think it's Stoinis 3, Maxwell 4. Larkin and Cartwright. One of those two hit a pretty good score in a trial recently. Rochelle and Pulkit, who was it?
It's Nick Larkin.
Yes.
He hit 92 something against the Gates.
A trial. Nice. I think with Larkin, I think it was 2 seasons ago when a couple of the other Stars players were injured. He really stepped up, I think at number 3 and got a lot of runs. And then last year, they didn't really need him and he had this sort of awkward batting position and unfortunately couldn't get back to his best form. But, and we know that Cartwright is a gun hitter. So I reckon like with such a decent batting order, Cartwright at number 6 is perfect. Just go in there and hit. Don't think, just hit the ball. And then they've got Liam Dawson and Osama Mir at number 7 and 8, which would be quite interesting. Liam Dawson is a English left-arm orthodox bowler. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. He's left-arm orthodox, bats a bit. He's played Test cricket in India, by the way. I just thought I'd signal that. I thought he was I thought that he was more of a white ball spinner, but apparently he's had some good county form in recent seasons as well, unless I'm much mistaken. Him and Imad Wasim look to be competing for basically the same spot. They're both overseas.
I think they're going to interchange in and out.
They're replacements for each other. Okay,
Yeah.
I get that. Right.
You guys know the deal with Dawson and Wasim by any chance?
I guess Dawson's in just for the first 3 games.
Yep. And
then I see. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I actually think the Stars team will be fun to watch this year. Like similar to what Rochelle said, in terms of confidence about the Renegades. I don't have necessarily confidence with the Stars, but I think they'll be a good cricket team to watch. Like Harper and Rogers are a good batsman. Obviously, they got Maxwell and Stoinis. I'm excited to see Cartwright as a bit of a finisher. And either Wasim or Osama Mir, that Pakistani edge, I think that'll be really interesting to watch. And then to finish off with the bowlers, they got Coulter-Nile, Brodie Couch, Joel Paris, where if they can stay on the park and then a little bit of Scott Boland coming in and out. And I'm looking at their squad. They've also got Bo Webster to come back in. I assume Webster's playing the PM's 11 game, guys?
He's in the PM's 11 game, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really nicely well-rounded team.
Yeah, also like Osama Mir and Haris Rauf both got the MSc from Pakistan to
Yeah, how
play.
the hell did I forget Haris Rauf? Sorry, Haris Rauf's in the reserves at the moment. There's a chance that he could play that first game, but regardless, that gets me even more excited. Haris Rauf, Imad Wasim, and the third Pakistani player Osama Mir. There you go. Like if they have those 3 in for most of the BBL, they'll be a really good team to watch because they've got Maxwell and Stoinis who won't be going anywhere. They've got a really good pair of openers that are like sort of either shown potential or actually done well in the trials. So I reckon that'll be a pretty fun team to watch this year. So Shane, any specific notes?
Yeah, a couple of things actually. Sorry. This has been a pretty big year for Osama Mir. He's a wrist spinner. Obviously, he's come in as an overseas player. He Did pretty well in the PSL from memory. He played for Multan and they won. He played for Multan? Yeah. And they made they're one of the two best teams in that competition alongside Lahore. And he was the main spinner there. And he also played for Pakistan at the World Cup just recently. Been a pretty big year for him, and now we're going to see him in the Big Bash. Keen to see how he goes. The other thing, which I thought was interesting, is Bo Webster is going to come back into this team, and there's going to be a lot of O's in this team. Maxwell, Stonis, Bo Webster are three of your top six, maybe, possibly your top five. That's a lot of overs in that team. So whether it's Coulter-Nile, Couch, Paris, if you're worried about the fitness of any of these guys, maybe you could even sort of like either rotate them if you're worried about their fitness, or you could bring in an extra batter for one of the frontline bowlers, perhaps like a Campbell Callaway or somebody like that, because you know that there's overs from your all-rounders in this team, like
I think that's
genuine
a
overs.
pretty big problem for the Stars because Coulter-Nile's, I think he's returning from an injury. He's always close to another one. Joel Paris, I think, is also returning from the injury, and Steketee, I think, is currently injured. Rishil, are 5 minutes up?
Time's up. Yep.
That was my last point. They've just, aside from their fitness for their pace bowlers, and Harris Ralph can obviously fix that. The rest of their squad, obviously, really interesting.
Just one more point. I think they'll miss Zampa as well.
Is Zampa any good?
I've done a whole thread breaking down. This was a while ago. I did this during the BBL draft. I did a whole thread breaking down what the Stars are missing in Zampa and how they might try to replace it. It's too much to get into right now, but yeah, we have done this before. We have covered this before.
Sweet. Well, it's 40 minutes in, and we've got 2 teams to go. So I reckon we'll have just over 5 minutes at the very end. So we might not have time to do a full team reveal. Rashil and Pulki, if you guys want to check if we do have any questions on our Discord or anything. But otherwise, what we'll do, we'll just spend 5 minutes very quickly, maybe explaining BBL Draft Stars at the end, Sushane. And then if we have time, a couple of minutes, we'll just quickly get into Supercoach. I might sort of show my team or whatever. But anyways, let's continue with the momentum. 2 teams to go, Adelaide and Hobart. First up, we'll go the strikers. They got Darcy Short and Matt Short, most likely opening the batting. They got Chris Lynn, who should be there for most of the BBL. I think he's maybe coming in game late and maybe leaving early for the ILT20, but he should be there for most of it, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. All right, I'll continue. Henry Hunt, we've got in at number 4 at the moment. Thomas Kelly, number 5. Jamie Overton, the English all-rounder, at number 6. Nielsen at 7. Manenti at 8. Agar, Thornton, and David Payne as the 3 quicks to finish off. Couple of notes. Adam Hose is in the reserves. Is that because he's coming a game late from the T10, or what's the go with him?
Yes, he's playing the T10 at the moment, so it depends whether his team qualifies for the final or not.
Sure. And I think they'll have him for the rest of the BBL after that.
Yep.
Sweet. Okay, cool. So that team with Hose in there and Thomas Kelly. I know, sorry, Sashane, I know you've got him in your Supercoach team, but I really hope they find a way to. No, he's out.
I'm cycling between a bunch of guys in my team in that spot, strikers
cool.
guys. So I'm not that attached to Thomas Kelly. Don't worry.
Sure. Well, as long as I think if they'll obviously get Adam Hose in, who was pretty consistent for the strikers last year. And who else do they've got Baisley, the all-rounder from the Heat that's moved over to the strikers. They've got Weatherald, who used to be a consistent batsman for them, and potentially Carrion Head to come in towards the end of the Big Bash if there's time after the test. So again, like the key one here is Rashid Khan's missing. I think it might actually make things interesting in terms of their bowling attack because, like, especially last year, I remember looking at Rashid Khan's stats. He went from being this like freak bowler in the Big Bash to teams just playing him out. So whether this changes up a little bit and obviously makes strikers bowling innings a little bit less predictable, we'll see. But so Shane, any specific points about the strikers?
Really keen to see David Payne in action. He played a little bit of BBL last season for the Scorchers. Left armour, bowls up front, can bowl a bit at the end as well. He's going to have a full season with the Scorchers, with the strikers this time. I think he's going to be there for the entire comp. They announced it at his signing. So really keen to watch him in action. They've also got maybe like losing Rashid. I wonder if we'll see something interesting from the strikers in terms of losing Rashid, they say, you know what, screw it. We know that no spinner is going to match up to Rashid's level. Like, no one spinner is going to match up to Rashid's level. Let's just go all in and like go all out pace, because they've got Brendan Doggett in the team, in the squad as well. There's Henry Thornton. There's obviously they've got Holt Payne. There's Wes Agar, and James Weasley as well. I think we could see like quite a new look Scotch's bowling attack in response, and Jamie Overton's available as well. So we could see quite a new look strikers bowling attack in response to that loss of Rashid Khan.
I can't tell if it's like we're noticing this now because we're going team by team, or if it's common, but a lot of these teams have 6 or 7 bowling options. And like they don't have those defined roles of these are our 5 or 6 batsmen, these are our 4 bowlers and our part-timer. So it's going to be interesting from a daily fantasy sport like DraftStars point of view, Supercoach point of view, whatever you're doing with your cricket, sort of getting to know those roles early in every team's first 2 or 3 games is going to be quite crucial. And just looking at this team, yeah, like if they could potentially, I know Menenti's been in good batting form in the Shield, for example. Matt Short can obviously bowl as many overs as you need him to. Darcy Short can plug in with a couple of overs of left-arm Chinaman as well. So this is going to be really interesting to see what they do. There might be a little bit more unpredictability without Rashid Khan. With Rashid Khan, it's like, these are the four overs we need to block out. But yeah, Pulkit and Rashil, any additional thoughts or any sort of trial form with the strikers?
Not for strikers, but like this is just in. Ollie Stone, the English quick, has signed for the Stars.
Exactly what I was looking at.
For who? Like what role is he gonna?
Haris Ralph,
Oh, so Ralph's not playing.
not the first game.
So Stone's gonna come for 1 game.
I have no idea about that.
I think he'll be there for the whole season, but like he definitely replaces Raw for the first game.
Interesting. Oh, that's fair enough. So I guess when Ralph plays, then Stone wouldn't, and then when Dawson's out, Wasim would be there. So it'd be
Wasim, yeah.
Wasim, Ralph, Dawson fighting for 3 spots. Anyways, it'll be interesting. How quick is Ollie Stone? Can he hit 150?
He's
I
fast.
don't think so.
He's really struggled with injury. But yeah, he bowled really well in Chennai in Test cricket about almost 3 years ago now. He just really struggled with injury. That's all. Good bowler.
Well, I guess very quickly with the strikers, I think Rushil, how much time do we have left? I assume we're almost done.
Yeah, we are done.
Cool. Well, one last note on the strikers then. I think they're another team that's potentially going to have to go the route of, we don't have Rashid Khan. We don't have, obviously, Head and Carey for most of the season. They might just have to kind of go in with this team of, we have a bunch of all-rounders. We can bat deep. We've got a ton of variety with the ball. They're going to have to, guess like the season the Renegades won the BBL about 4 years ago, where it's like they just kind of did a little bit of everything and weren't great at anything and just kept staying in the fight. The strikers are, I reckon, going to have to be one of those teams, especially if they're going to be missing Lin for parts of that season. That's like one destructive batsman gone as well. But we'll have to see how that plays out. It'll be interesting. Sweet. All right, moving on to the last team, Hobart Hurricanes. So what we've got listed is Caleb Jewell, Ben McDermott opening. We've got Wade at 3, Sam Hain at 4, Tim David at 5, Anderson at 6. We've got Chris Jordan at number 7. I think Shane was pointing out that is a big tail. And they've got Nathan Ellis at number 8.
Yeah.
With Dooley, Meredith, and Soglu from 9 to 11. I think they've got a couple of guys in the squad that we might want to talk about. But yeah, so Shane, you want to go in with your thoughts first?
Shout out to Super Coach Brain on the Insights Fantasy Sports podcast, which is, as you were sort of going through the teams, that's when I realized that Jordan might be at 7 and that tail might be really long. So that middle order actually doesn't look too bad. Matthew Wade, Sam Hain, Tim David. Keen to see Tim David in action. I wonder if they look at that tail and they think, man, that tail's too long. We need an extra batter, and they get in like Sam Heaslett or Mac Wright or somebody like that.
Mac Wright would be the one.
Mac Wright or Sam Heaslett or somebody like that. And I wonder if that potentially opens up a path to Tim David bowling a lot more. That could be really interesting to watch. Nathan Ellis is the captain. Great death bowler, excellent player. Keen to see how Paddy Dooley goes. Bowling attack's pretty good. And I think that lack of batting depth means death bowlers against them should do really well. And McDermott's just coming off of 50 in the T20 series against India. So is it time yet again for McDermott to look like $1 million and like test how much faith we want to put in him?
It was
That's
heartbreaking last year.
yeah.
You know, the opposite point to what I just mentioned about the Adelaide team, where the Hurricanes actually have quite a few like well-defined roles. So they've got Ellis and Chris Jordan, I guess, like sort of just normal T20 bowlers. Ellis is obviously in extremely good form the last year or two. Dooley left arm, everything. Hetzoglu right arm, confusing. Meredith with pace. Like I really like that bowling attack. And then
Yeah.
you've got Anderson and Tim David, the obvious like part-time. They can obviously contribute part-time overs. And then you got Jewel, McDermott, Wade, Hayne, David. Like that's a really bloody good batting order, batting lineup, sorry, with both right and left-handers as well. Do you reckon they could make the finals, or how are you kind of seeing the Hurricanes this year?
One thing I do think that's interesting to point out, which I only found out a little bit earlier today, is Hurricanes play 4 out of their first 5 games at home, either at Launceston or at Hobart. And some of these guys do really well at those grounds, the bowlers, I mean. So maybe the batting doesn't need to be that good to like for the bowling to just win games for them in that opening half of the season. And with a shorter season, maybe if they nail those first 4 games at home, that could be enough to make the finals, you know. Like I know there's a lot of frailty in this team that we've pointed out and discussed, but maybe the fixtures actually favor them for once.
Yep, and I was just going to make a really quick note on the reserves. They don't have those big name reserves or those test match players to come back or anything, but Stanlake offers you height and pace. Mitchell Owen is like a Will Sutherland type of like, young guy young strapping guy that can bat a bit, bowl a bit, hit a long ball. Nikhil Chowdhury, if you've got Instagram and you're following us, or you're following cricketers on Instagram, he's an absolute beast. I think he's come over from India a couple of years ago. Rushil and Pulkit have done a little bit of research on him. But yeah, his highlights reel is absolutely incredible. If they can find a role for him, sort of like potentially I don't think they'll have the confidence in him to maybe pick him in the first game. But after a couple of players missing for whatever reason, I think there's like a pretty clear opportunity to play him. Like what better opportunity than sort of batting with Tim David out in the middle and learning how to hit big in pressure situations. And then Mac Wright. I really just want him to get a game because I just want to scream return of the Mac. Just again and again. For whatever reason, it's been stuck in my mind. Right. I forgot if it was last season or the year before, but he had a few good innings, right? In the BBL for anyone that was following. Because I remember he looked like young technical batsman with no power, maybe 2-3 years ago. And I think it was last season or the year before. He actually had power to go along with his technique. I think it was him and Jewel that sort of went from these young or like younger guys to actually showing like potential and actually getting runs at the Big Bash. So that obviously if an opportunity opens up, they can get the job done.
Yeah.
It was 2019-20, by the way. That was a few years ago, not just year before last.
For me, that feels like yesterday. We sure we're all done?
Yeah. Just a last thing to say. There are 3 overseas, Hayne, Anderson, and Jordan. All of these 3 have signed for the ILT20. So they'll probably be out for the later half of the tournament.
Damn. And like unlike a lot of the other teams, they don't really have anyone to come back in. So that's going to be that for me. That kind of rules them out of like serious finals contention. Because if they, probably trying to bring someone in late in the season and stuff, it's probably not the best for chemistry. We've only got, I guess, about 5 minutes left. So very quickly, maybe 2 minutes on this. After having a close look at all the squads, let's all pick very quickly the 2 teams we think are best and are the most likely to make the BBL final. So Shane, I'll put you under the pump first, and I'll let the other guys
go. Scorchers is one. I honestly haven't thought about the other at all. I can tell you who I don't think it will be. I don't think it'll be like Hurricanes or Stars or Thunder. I could be safe and boring and go Sixers. You know what? I will be safe and boring and go Sixers. I could see the first 3 on that list making the finals. Heat, Scorchers, Sixers, especially if Neser plays any decent amount of cricket. He was very good last season.
Yep. I'll definitely fade the Sixers. I think the Sixers is shot. I just don't see this squad making the final this year. I will say the same thing about the Scorchers. Straight away, they jumped out at me as like, wow, like they're impressive and they've got really good depth. So they're the obvious one. I like Rashil's call on the Renegades, but
Yeah.
I usually get excited about teams like that and then they break my heart. So between the Renegades and the Stars, I can see one of them, in my opinion, as the second best team. And to put myself on the line a little bit, I will go, unfortunately, I'll go the Stars. So I'll go Scorcher Stars as my finalists. Rachel, you want to go next?
Yep, I think the Renegades, of course. And then I hate the Scorchers and I love the Sixers. So
I'm the
it's
opposite.
Renegades versus Sixers.
Nice. Sure. Pulkit?
Like I'll be supporting Stars because, well, because of Maxwell, and apart from that, maybe Heat
Yeah. With Heat, I
because,
guess
like,
a couple of you guys mentioned
yeah, maybe,
the Heat. My worry is like there's good players throughout, but I feel like they don't have like a actually with all these four guys back, yeah, I can kind of see it.
yeah, they'll have a great squad when these four guys are back, you know?
Yeah, to be fair, like with these guys, it's just the uncertainty at the start, and then they'll be settled. Whereas with the Hurricanes,
Uh,
it's the opposite. They'll be settled at the start, and then there'll be uncertainty at the end. So I guess that's something to bear in mind as well. But awesome. Okay, cool. Well, that's it in terms of the teams preview. I might just very quickly go through draft stars so we can go through this with people. So yeah, this is our third season doing the BBL with Draft Stars. For the first game, so Draft Stars, if you haven't played already, it's a paid fantasy sports option, and you only make your team for that game. So they've got a 25K contest. Well, for the first game, if you see here, oh, let's change the camera. All right, sweet. So the way it works is it's similar to Supercoach. You've got a salary cap, and you've got to fit in enough players in that salary cap to make a team. If you play the main contest, it's $15 a team. You can make up to 65 teams, which would be about a grand's worth. Probably wouldn't recommend that the first time you play. The scoring system is over here. Prizes are over here. So if you come first, you win almost 2.5 grand out of the 25,000 prize pool. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that we could do to explain to you how to play Draft Stars. But what we're going to do, we're going to put it into an article that'll be going out game day. So Thursday, which is tomorrow, the 7th of December, is when the Big Bash starts. We'll explain Draft Stars in a lot more detail, how to play, how to get our projected scores for free, and obviously how to enter and give this a crack. And very quickly for Supercoach, if you haven't already, I won't open up Supercoach. We'll have to do that team reveal somewhere else, Shane. But if you Google Wiki Linktree, obviously our Discord is free, our website's free. Everything that you want, including our podcast, everything is free here to check out. But you'll see here that we're doing BBL Supercoach podcast. What we're doing right now, we're going to call it like a BBL team preview or season preview where we go through predicted lineups for every team. And then all the other podcast episodes we've got, all the other data tools. So Shane's written a really good detailed article explaining a few of the key insights for every single team. We'll have a written version of our predicted 11s for every team as well. I think that's it. Pulkit and Rashil, thank you for getting ready and getting prepared for the live pod. Your first time doing this. So Shane, thanks as always for helping us put everything together. And for everyone that does follow their BBL, good luck with your super coach, your draft stars, your punting, or just watching the games. Enjoy the games, and we'll catch you soon.